This video contains elements that are not suitable for children under the age of 14. Viewer discretion is advised.
Okay, it's been a while since we last posted on this channel. Let's make this a good one, shall we? Hi everybody, I speak on behalf of everybody here at Melting Pottery Media that we're glad to be back with a brand new Emotions Corner episode. And a brand new background for myself as well. What do you guys think? Anyway, last time we tackled the film that destroyed the reputation of a little blue tank engine that he's never been able to shake off and looks unlikely to do so now. This time will be...
Wait, I thought you said it was a Sodorama episode.
Well, both of us reviewed it with Mike and Rachel, didn't we? If at least 3 of us are all for the same subject, then technically it's an episode for the Emotions Corner. So there. Welcome to episode 14, Cameron.
Oh, right. Well, if you say so.
Which reminds me, Zack, where did Mike get off to?
Still hiding in his bunker, I reckon. Given what's going on with Ukraine, let's just pray and hope that it gets solved before too long, lest we all end up living underground full-time.
Speaking of which, on behalf of all of us, I'd like to formally apologize for that one clip in school race. We had no idea at the time what would happen, and our hearts go out to those in Ukraine.
On that, I have to agree, Rachel.
Back on topic, gentlemen. What is today's episode?
I'm glad you asked, Rachel. It's one of the most overhyped films to come out of Netflix in recent years, My Little Pony: A New Generation.
Now hold on a minute there. What do you mean it's overhyped?
Well,
Zack, I understand that you think differently about the film, but I honestly thought the film was quite decent when I first saw it, and probably 5 times after that. I mostly enjoyed how smooth the character animation is, and one of the film's locations, Zephyr Heights, the Pegasus City. I think that city is my OC Guardian Souls kind of city too.
That's nice and all, Cameron, but...
I think the film is absolutely beautiful. I watched it about 5 or 6 times on Netflix since it got there.
I'm with Cam and Rach, Zack. I've watched the film, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Oh, come on! 3 against 1? Who am I, Paul McCartney?
So we're being compared to the Beatles now? Last I checked there was 4 plus Mike, that's 5 of us.
I mean those who've actually bothered to watch the film, Rachel. Because last time I checked, Mike said he had no plans in watching it.
Well, that's a shame. If this review is going to happen, Zack, one of us is going to have to make like a tree and leave. Ha! That's a joke!
Well, since you suggested it, Matt.
Ah, shit!
Oh, no.
Ready to play ball?
Zack! Wait, what are you doing, man? No, put that down! No!
And he's way out of there. Well, that was unexpected.
Now I think that we're on even ground. Let's get to the review, shall we?
Next time, Zack, go for something less extreme, okay?
Fine, I was just trying to be helpful.
Oh yeah, sure, very helpful.
It's safe to say that the 4th generation of My Little Pony set a new bar for quality children's television in the 2010s. Since Friendship is Magic premiered on October 10th, 2010, the brand has transformed from a generic girl toy line into a cultural phenomenon, thanks in part to quite possibly an unexpected demographic of adult men and women. These people were called the Bronies. They were called this because, well, pretty much every niche fandom has to have its own name, I guess. Anyway, the fandom not only kept the show going beyond just the first season, it also, both for better and for worse, changed the direction of the show itself.
From what I remember, Friendship is Magic seemed to stop at the end of Season 3 with 65 episodes fully aired, when the show suddenly came back with a 4th season in late 2013. When that season proved to be so successful, another season was commissioned. You could say the Brony fandom is what kept the show alive for this long. Speaking of the Brony fandom, during Season 5, on June 15th, 2015, a special 100th episode was aired that pandered to the Brony fandom. Its name is Slice of Life, and it mainly focuses on the background, supporting characters like Octavia Melody, Sweetie Drops, Dr. Hooves, Derpy Hooves, etc.
Yes, the one episode that should have never been made to begin with.
Sorry, Rachel, but it's fame and misfortune that never should have been made.
Right. Back on topic regarding the Brony fandom's influence. Following Following Starlight Glimmer's inclusion into the main cast following the Cutie remark, many more changes to the status quo would come up, such as the founding of the School of Friendship and Twilight taking over for both Celestia and Luna. In between, we finally got answers regarding the Apple siblings' parents, and Starswell the Bearded getting a physical appearance for the show for the first time, as well as the feature-length movie, all in 2017.
While I adore Starlight Glimmer to no end, I have to say the redemption and addition of her into the main cast was one of the big breaking points of the fandom. To say the fandom was broken up over this change would be an understatement, with many hating her and many loving her. Talking about her either negatively or positively was, and certainly remains, one of the easiest ways to get into the fandom version of a bar brawl. And the School of Friendship concept also broke the fandom, not nearly as badly as with Starlight's case, but still pretty shattering. It didn't help that the fandom started to see some bad apples coming to light around that time.
With the show ending its controversial 9th season in 2019, what did we get after that? Well, we got a spin-off that didn't add anything new to begin with, and we got a new animated film to officially kick off Generation 5 in 2021, fittingly titled A New Generation. So, how did it play out and what happens there?
Spoiler alert!
It's been a while since we used that clip, hasn't it?
Earth ponies watched in wonder as Pegasi painted rainbows across the sky. The nights were lit up by 100 unicorn horns.
An unspecified time after the events of the final season of Friendship is Magic, the free pony races, Pegasi, Unicorns, and Earth Ponies, have become divided. The Earth Ponies reside at Maritime Bay, and one of its citizens, Sunny Star Scout, voiced by Vanessa Hudgens of High School Musical fame. Is it just me, or does that sound like a bad omen or something? Anyway, she believes that all free tribes can be friends, but no one believes her or takes her seriously. But then things change when a unicorn by the name of Izzy Moonbow, voiced by Kimiko Glenn, arrives at Maritime Bay. Chaos ensues.
Afterwards, Izzy and Sunny befriend each other and travel to Zephyr Heights, thinking that the unicorns lost their magic because of the Pegasi.
While doing so, they evade Hitch Trailblazer, voiced by James Marsden, I cannot pronounce that name, I'm so sorry, who pursues them so he can arrest them. But the pair are arrested anyway and escape thanks to one of Queen Haven's daughters, Zip Storm, voiced by Liza Koashi, I think that's how you say it, who reveals that the Pegasi cannot fly. The royals pretended to fly, and this lie is exposed during a performance by Zip's sister, Pip Petals, voiced by Sophia Carson.
The new main five make off with the Pegasus Crystal and travel to Brittlewood, where they are disguised as unicorns and manage to win the Unicorn Crystal from a dance competition. The crystals are put together, but it doesn't work because they were missing a third crystal, which turns out to be a part of the lamp Sunny's father made for her years ago. Once again, chaos ensues when the unicorns and Pegasi tribes turn up, but it turns out that Sunny was right the whole time. The three pony races had to unite in order for the magic of Equestria to return.
That sounds about right. Anything else we're missing out on, boys?
Yep, while all that's happening, Hitch's deputy Sprout Cloverleaf, voiced by Ken Jeong, takes over Maritime Bay on a fascist platform because the film would be uninteresting if we didn't have a villain otherwise. I'm just gonna get this out of the way before we delve deeper. Some people have been saying that it isn't really fair to compare this new incarnation of MLP to the previous, and to that, I say that's horseshit. You have it set in Equestria, even if it's years apart, you feature the old main six in the cold opening, and you even have toys of him owned by Sunny, not to mention the little Easter egg with a Wonderbolts poster, so I'm going to hold up to the standard of Friendship is Magic. Or at least, the first 5 seasons as well as parts of seasons 6 and 7.
Well, you're a real Mr. Sunshine here today, aren't you?
Shut up. It was always going to be compared to the previous generation regardless if it was good or not. Anyway, if you think the story is as simple as we're making it out to be, it's not. The first big problem I have has nothing to do with the story. At least, not yet. No, it has to do with the fact that it's a continuation of Generation 4. Not a video game adaptation that's in name only. Not a live-action remake. A continuation. Set years later. Now, I've made my distaste towards the final season of Friendship is Magic pretty clear by this point. To say that it was a pile of horse manure would be an insult to horse manure. I could go on and on about the problems I have with Season 9, that may be a topic for a future video, but to keep things brief, and mostly for Rachel's sake, they boil down to uninspired storytelling, sluggish pacing, poor characterization, an arc that made little to no sense, and a plot twist so shocking that it almost makes you rethink how you feel about the show. It all felt as though it wasn't thought through enough. So the mere idea that a new generation is in the same universe where we had episodes like Non-Compete Clause, Yakety Sax, The Point of No Return, The Last Crusade, and especially A Trivial Pursuit is already a bad sign. The post-movie era for G4 wasn't very good, and it was pretty obvious by the time that the beginning of the end premiered that the writers were out of ideas. They should have made G5 a separate entity altogether, like what the previous generations did. But I think I'm getting ahead of myself there. Where do you guys think we should begin?
Well, we can always talk about the split between the three races, or something along those lines.
Fair enough. Now, we're not going to be delving too deeply into every inconsistency between generations 4 and 5, as we'd probably be here all day otherwise. But a new generation never explains why the three pony races split apart. Twilight's declining influence? Successor failing to live up to her standard? Combination of both? If the actual show doesn't explain it, then I don't know what to think. They'll also have to explain how the free crystals came into existence. A contingency plan, I presume? So the magic has left Equestria, meaning the unicorns can't use their horns to manipulate objects, Pegasi can't fly, and Earth ponies have average every pony strength. I'm just guessing here. But how do you explain the cutie marks, but only on one side for some reason? Then again, if we point out every plot hole, we'd be here all day, and I'm pretty sure that that's barely scratching the surface.
For the cutie marks appearing on one side, maybe they only had a tiny bit of magic left, just enough for one cutie mark on each side, but not enough to get them to fly or use unicorn magic. As for this new divide, I imagine this was long after Twilight's reign had ended. Maybe a coup d'etat to take down another ruler after Twilight, or maybe a successor down the line that was a wrong choice that threw the world into turmoil. I'm not exactly sure, but that's a fun point of contention for me.
Can I also mention that there's modern technology in the film?
This is not a major plot point, but I think we'll bring it up anyway. Why is there modern technology like cell phones present? This works against the fantasy element of MLP, and the two worlds just don't mesh that well. Even Equestria girls couldn't make it work.
Respectfully disagree with you there.
Brought into to the passage of time, if I had to guess. If we have high tech, so can fictional colorful ponies.
If I had an American dollar for every time the phrase passage of time was used for this review, I'd be very rich. It just feels like an excuse to bring meme humor into the movie. The problem? We've seen this multiple times in previous media, even in MLP itself. The Emoji Movie practically got there first, and that film was widely despised.
Oh, please never, ever mention that god-fucking-damn film ever again.
Or even compare it to this movie?
I never said anything about both being alike. All I was saying is that the jokes about social media in animated movies are bound to date themselves within 5 years. That's it.
Which reminds me, what is it about social media that makes it so popular in films and television shows anyway?
Who knows? Do we need to be constantly reminded about something that's ever so present in our lives? Unless it's somehow important to the story, no, we don't. For example, what if you made a reference to having a MySpace account in your film? Hardly anyone uses MySpace these days, and it dates your film to that time period that it was popular. Okay, back to the film's story. After they've been caught and arrested by the Pegasus guards, Zip helps Sunny and Izzy out of the most comfortable-looking prison cell in the world. No, seriously, why aren't there more prison cells this good-looking? Anyway, she reveals to the Earth Pony and Unicorn that Pegasi can't actually fly. The Royals of Zephyr Heights have been lying this whole time to bring false hope. Interesting idea for a story, I'll admit. Then Zip shows them the mural, and this is where the story really falls apart and never recovers. See if you can guess how many sections the mural split into. It's 3, or at least there were, except one of them got smashed up because passage of time, I guess. Yet Sunny, Izzy, and Zip think that there are 2 crystals needed to unite the pony tribes again. Okay, let's dissect every problem that I have with this, shall we? 1. There are clearly 3 ponies in this scene, 1 per pony race. Why do none of them notice something amiss with the remains of the mural, especially as there's no Earth pony represented anymore? 2. When the crystals are brought together in Bridalwood, no one points out that there should be a 3rd crystal needed. Sunny and Hitch are the only Earth ponies in this scene, yet neither of them brings that up. 3. You can clearly see that there is a gap where the Earth Pony crystal should be. Even if this is a kid's movie, I'm sure even they would notice that. An unwritten rule for writing in a children's show or movie is to never treat them like they're stupid. 4, that moment existed solely so Sunny could go through a heroic breakdown before realizing that she had the Earth Pony crystal on her full hood lamp the whole time. Which brings up 2 other questions. How did Argyle obtain it? And was Sunny ever told about the other 2 crystals at any point before he died? Who cares? It's important. Seriously, the whole third act becomes meaningless when you realize that all some pony had to say was, at least somewhere along the lines of, should there be a foot crystal to bring the magic back? There's 3 pony tribes, so surely the Earth ponies must have one of their own. And before anyone tells me that there'd be no climax had that been the case, I'm going to counter that with what I said about Gloria's of Daisy's so-called clan of Legend of Everfree. If the solution to a conflict is this obvious, then the story you're trying to tell is meaningless. It's nothing more than useless padding.
I think the explanation is more simple than you may think. Compared to unicorns, who have physical magic, and Pegasus ponies who can fly, Earth ponies don't really seem to have any powers that make them truly stand out. Over time, Earth ponies slowly forget they had any inept magic. As for Argyle finding the crystal, maybe he thought it was just some other random crystal. It was able to fit into a lamp. And while Argyle researched a lot, there are easily some things that could have been overlooked. He wasn't implied to have died after all.
And another thing, how does Sunny go from thinking that Earth ponies, unicorns, and Pegasi shouldn't fear each other into thinking that the crystals would unite ponykind and bring back the magic?
I understand now. It's not the crystals that need to be brought together. It's us.
That was literally what you've been preaching the whole time. If there was a more obvious transition from Sunny going from thinking that the pony races need to unite to thinking that the crystals will help the pony races unite, this may have worked out just fine, but as it stands, everything she goes through with the third act is completely meaningless. They say that the journey matters more than the destination, but a new generation goes about things the other way around, meaning that things happen to the characters purely by circumstance rather than the characters creating their own events and earning their victories. But perhaps my biggest problem with the film overall is that it feels like it's trying way too hard to be Disney. However, that only appears in the cold opening and is mentioned in the past tense afterward? Check. Journey beyond comfort zone with a buddy outside said comfort zone? Check. Upbeat opening song, villain mob song, and generic idealistic pop song? Check, check, check. Seriously, it is so predictable and cliche that this could be a drinking game. Every time you spot something that reminds you of a Disney film, take a shot.
Oh, come on, Zack. That's not even fair at all. Just because something's been so-called overdone and predictable doesn't mean that it's not good. The relationship with Argyle and Sunny? Absolutely adorable and heartbreaking when Argyle was implied to have died. The journey with Sunny and Izzy? Quite fun to watch, and I've been singing Looking Out For You over and over again. The rest of the songs? They fit the theme the movie is going for, and they've been stuck in my head too. I've been told by Wild Noesta, shout out to him by the way, that if you can partially figure out how a story is going before it ends, that it makes some form of sense. It's the journey of the story, not the destination.
You know, I get the feeling that every time I make even the slightest criticism against this film, you immediately tear it down as if my opinion means nothing.
Like I haven't heard that coming from you.
Oh, well, who is this person, and what has she done to Rachel?
Oh, gosh, I guess I have gotten a bolder streak recently.
Well, anyway, the film ends with Sunny's home destroyed and Spark anyway nearly starting a war, but that's okay because Sunny becomes an alicorn because we needed to get another G4 callback, the magic is back again, and then the film just stops.
Not quite. We do have a brief mid-credit scene with what looks to be this generation's Crusaders. After seeing a few bars of Pip's song, they all race each other to the bridge when we see the Earth Pony's hooves leaving glowing hoof prints as she gallops along.
And then the film just stops. For real this time.
And if they ever try to come back to Maritime Bay, we'll kick their butts again!
Those are lies! Hitch, tell him!
Well, that is kind of what our teacher said in history class, but hey, we can play the game your way if you want, Sonny. I don't mind.
Mind if I kick this one off, boys?
Why not? Ladies first.
No objections here.
Well, our leading protagonist is Sunny Starscout, a young mayor of Maritime Bay who wants nothing more than to bring the ponies together. She's essentially a reverse Twilight Sparkle, and I think that's a really clever idea. Not only is her name a polar opposite of hers, but she wishes to make as many friends as possible, and is prepared for this moment with a lot of research from her daddy for this moment, while Twilight just wanted to shield herself away until Celestia called her to attention. I really like this girl. She lives up to her name as being the ray of sunshine that she is. but she can also get too caught up in her goals to slow down and have a tea break.
I personally wouldn't go so far as to say that Sunny is a Mary Sue, but what does she learn from her journey? All that the film does is prove her beliefs right. She doesn't really grow beyond that, and when she asks Izzy and the Pegasus Guard questions about their respective races, mostly based upon stereotypes, she pretty much views them as representatives rather than, actual ponies. That's never addressed once, and the one thing she learns is, cause trouble in a foreign land and you'll get away with it so long as the ponies are united again. I'm just still confused having written that, and that doesn't paint Sunny in a sympathetic light. Look, I'm not saying that Sunny should be written as morally pure. A protagonist sometimes has to be in the wrong in order to learn something. But as I just stated, Sunny causes problems in both Zephyr Heights and Bridlewood just to get 2 of the crystals, and she never gets consequences for it. Hell, she practically breaks into a convention at the start just to preach unity and things went wrong for her. Sure, she gets called out by Hitch, but still. I don't know if this is protagonist-centered morality or not, but boy oh boy, does this film make it tempting.
I think Sunny was written okay. She's not perfect, but then again, not everyone is, unless the character is badly written enough. She's still likable despite the chaos she creates at Zephyr Heights and Brittlewood. Yeah, that's all I have to say about her.
So, somewhere in between then.
Pretty much.
Alright, on to the next main character, and we're going by order of introduction. Everybody else will save for last. Now, I may have a lot of problems with a new generation, but Hitch Trailblazer isn't one of them. He's probably... no, scratch that. He's definitely my favorite character in the movie in that he actually did feel like a character. Although he's a good pony, and he's still pretty faithful to Sunny despite her constant obsession with getting the free pony tribes to unite, he still has his prejudices towards unicorns and Pegasi. But unlike Sprout, and more on him later, Hitch remains somewhat grounded thanks to Sunny's positive influence. But even he has his limits, especially when Sunny causes trouble at convention and he tells her this.
You give a little speech and what? Every pony just magically welcomes unicorns and Pegasi into Maritime Bay? You keep saying there's nothing to be afraid of, well then prove it.
Bam! Now if that isn't giving someone a dose of reality, I don't know what is. Hitch is also pretty dedicated to his job in chasing down Sunny and Izzy, even going so far as to enter what he'd consider enemy territory just to find them. But once the new main five are together, he eventually becomes a bit more comfortable in the presence of Izzy, Zip, and Pip, even calling them friends when he and Sunny head back to Maritime Bay and help Big Zip to try and stop Sprout from wrecking Sunny's home. Hitch has the strongest character arc of the whole film, and I can't help but wonder, why wasn't he made the main character? It would have made the message they were intending a lot stronger. Good people can still be prejudiced, but given time, they will eventually unlearn what they were conditioned into thinking in the first place. It also works as a bit of a shout out to the Brony fandom for making My Little Pony a cultural phenomenon, proving that the brand can be enjoyed by both girls and boys. Oh, and did I mention that James Marsden does a phenomenal job of his character? And yes, Rachel, that is how you pronounce it.
Maybe for the same reason why Thomas and Friends are mostly male characters and he was the spotlight character. It was initially a male-dominated cast, just as MLP has been a female-dominated cast.
Well, yes, but weren't there female fans for the former the same way the latter gained male fans? I think MLP may have had a few even before the 2010s, but I'm not sure.
Yes, Zach, I'm a female fan too. But as a kid, there weren't that many female characters, engines or otherwise. As for the pony side of things, was Spike the baby dragon. Yes, he existed in G1 too. And the big brother pony Cincinnabula, not to be confused with the pillars of Equestria from G4, as well as a few male villains and non-pony allies. But no ponies then. Ponytails had a few male characters, but G3 didn't have any apart from Spike. He was dark blue in that generation, and not a baby dragon like the other generations.
Well, you seem to know what you're talking about, Rachel. I just wish I had a clue on what to say.
So, nothing you can say that I haven't already about Hitch.
Sure, let's go with that.
Yeah, he was kind of amusing, but I don't have much to say about this guy either, except, who are his parents? We don't see them even when he's a foal. Come to think of it, we don't see any parents for a certain other character either.
An earth pony.
And Pegasi.
And a unicorn, which you knew already.
Next, we have Izzy Moonbow, and if her early scenes are any indication, she's basically the new Pinkie Pie and the first non-Earth pony friend Sunny made. She's energetic, creative, optimistic, talented, and finds wonder in everything. If anything, I like her. Rachel, what do you think of Izzy?
She's a really sweet girl indeed. She focuses more on arts and crafts than baking, and her house is really cute. But I think my favorite part is when they're at the campfire and this happens.
I always wanted to visit. When I was a filly, I found this pretty lantern. It had a message inside. It said I had friends in Maritime Bay.
We always promised each other that someday we would prove that all ponies were meant to be friends.
Oh, that was so adorable. Izzy may be a goofball, but she also has a good heart within.
Yeah, since the film came out, pretty much everyone has compared the old main 6 to the new main 5, and I think we'd be fools if we were to ignore that. As Matt just stated, Izzy is Pinkie Pie with Sunny being Twilight in reverse, like Rachel said, and I believe Hitch is a mix of both Applejack and Fluttershy, the latter due to how he tracks animals. We'll get to the rarity equivalent in a moment, but for now, let's get into the Rainbow Dash equivalent, Zip Storm.
I know Cameron will have a lot to say about Zip.
He would have, had Mr. Green and Mean over here not thrown him out at the start. Meanwhile...
Ow! My head! Oh. Did Zack really have to use that freaking cricket bat to whack me out of his review like that? Ugh! That lousy prick!
You alright there, Cam?
Huh? James? What are you doing here?
I was going over some project ideas I wanted to share with you guys someday when I heard you screaming and falling out of the sky. Don't tell me it's skydiving day and I wasn't invited!
Actually, we were discussing the recent My Little Pony movie, but since only 3 members are needed, one of us had to leave. And Zack hit me with a cricket bat, and now I have a splitting headache because of it!
Ouch! Bit excessive if you ask me.
Yes, and he's making me miss my chance of giving my thoughts about my new favorite MLP character, Zip Storm!
Let us! We haven't a moment to lose. To the Micromobile!
Well, I'm sure Cameron will eventually get his chance to talk about Zip.
Right. In fact, I bet he'll have more to say about her than I do.
Well, I think Zip is a really cool character. She's certainly more humble than another character we're getting to, and even rejects the spotlight in favor of pursuing her own hobbies.
Compared to Rainbow Dash, Zip is more restrained and tactful, even knowing how to help take the Pegasus crystal from Queen Haven's crown. If I was to pick a favorite next to Hitch, I kinda go back and forth between Zip and Izzy because she actually contributes something to the story, unlike her sister.
So tonight's the night. I can't wait to debut my new song later. It has a very special place in my heart, but not as much as you guys.
We love you so much, Pat!
Okay, guys, I love you lots. Gotta go. Pip, pip, hooray!
So, how can I put this? Pip is a pop star diva, possibly a borderline stereotype of one, and after her show ends in disaster, she blends into the background. You have one less main protagonist than the 2017 movie did, yet you couldn't do anything to develop her character in the second half? Applejack and Fluttershy contributed more in the final battle at Canterlot for Celestia's sake. You could have easily cut Pip from the story altogether and nothing would have changed.
Blasphemy! You know that's wrong!
I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that. Now who voices her again?
Sophia Carson?
Ah, right. Let's see what else she worked on. Disney's Descendants? Really, Hasbro? You're this desperate to emulate Disney that you've pilfered not one, but 2 former child actors for the cast. Are you trying to get yourselves under their banner? Like that'll ever happen. A My Little Pony appearing in a Disney movie is the day that pigs fly.
Sorry, Zach, but you might want to see what Tamlet just dug up.
Okay, but I better not waste my time. Wait a minute, you brought him back even after he...
Rescue Rangers 2.0!
What?
Yes, I'm still pissed at him for his screw-up a while back, but it's as you said before, there wasn't anyone else to help run things along.
Getting back on topic here, I have to object, Zack. I really like Pip. She serves a good contrast to Zip. She wants to continue as she is to try and raise hope for the Pegasus ponies, even if she's going about it the wrong way, while Zip is ashamed of the lie and wants to go to the basement to practice her gliding. Maybe Pip could have used a bit more development in the back half of the movie, but still. And by the way, a pink Pegasus pony with a purple mane and tail who loves to sing songs is a Pegasus and a princess? Remind you of anyone?
Some cute... Oh!
Yes! This is basically how I pictured her, spreading her music across Equestria to boost morale. And now she's basically in the show as Pet Petals. A bit more of a pop star than what I imagined her, and I did wreck on the princess status on Songkyu, but still.
Well, though unintentional, I'm happy for you, Rach.
Well, this is awkward. Moving on. Who's next?
I think I know who.
I did what you asked for, Hitch. She never left my side. Not even once.
Oh, hey, Sprout. You okay? You seem kind of wheezy.
That's Deputy Sprout to you? Hey.
Oh, this guy. Right. I hate this insufferable little douchebag so much. He's basically a whiny little mommy's boy and never shows any redeeming qualities whatsoever. Not even when he's a cult. Sprout's basically the pony equivalent to an Equestria Girl's villain, right down to his pathetic reasons for his villainy and what happens to him at the film's ending. We'll put a pin on that for now, as I want to save that for when we discuss the message near the end.
I like Sprout. Sure, it would have been nice for some on-screen karma like there originally was going to be, but it's still possible he got in trouble for his actions. Plus, I find him to be funny in quite a few scenes. Hate him all you want, Zach, but I like him.
I have to admit, I have to agree with you, Matt. I've grown to like him more in my later watches of the film. He's just trying so hard to be menacing that it comes across as funny, though to be honest, I was legitimately scared of him at some points in the third act.
Frankly, Sprout tries so hard to be menacing, it's actually kinda pathetic. He doesn't even compare to Nightmare Moon, for Luna's sake. No pun intended.
Remember this day, little ponies, for it was your last. From this moment forth, the night will last forever.
I believe him trying to be evil and coming off as laughable was deliberate on the part of the movie's writers.
If that's the case, then that makes Sprout even worse. Is there anyone else we haven't talked about yet? You know, anyone worth talking about?
Well, how about we talk about some of these supporting characters like Argyle and the 3 pony race leaders?
Okay. Plot device, Karen stereotype, and Disney dad. Done. Next topic, please.
Come on! Stop being such a buzzkill!
And I could say the same thing about you when it comes to a certain era of a show about talking trains.
And I can say the same thing about you and a certain Equestria Girls film.
Why you?
Thanks, Luna. When will you two learn not to metaphorically bite at each other's throats? Anyway, I think Argyle is sweet. His relationship with Sunny is genuinely adorable. I love seeing Queen Haven's relationship with her 2 daughters. I'm also curious about Hitch and Izzy's parents. We don't see the former parents even in the flashback in the beginning. I think I have some fanfictions to write later.
We got the light, we're coming in stronger, we're in it together. If you wanted it all inside your mind.
If I could describe the music in one word, it's this. Generic. Much of it blends into the background, and I barely remember any of the songs from start to finish. My Little Pony isn't known for its music, but Friendship is Magic gave off many memorable tunes. I could practically list 10 off the top of my head. Heart as Strong as Horses, Winter Wrap-Up, Apples to the Core, The Smile Song, You'll Play Your Part, Vista Aria, A True True Friend, The Magic Inside, At the Gala, The Super Duper Party Pony. Heck, freaking Equestria Girls has more memorable music. My Past Is Not Today immediately springs to mind, and most of it became generic following Friendship games. I think... I don't know, I didn't really pay much attention to the shorts, because I focused solely on the specials. Anyway, the only song I remember in any capacity is Angry Mob. Or was it Danger Danger? Well, either way, whatever you call it, one of the reasons I remember that at all is because of this riff.
Something is lurking, something is near, something is feeling stranger. Stirring up discord, whipping up fear, whispering softly, danger, danger, out!
Yep, that's the riff to Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit, the most iconic song that defined the grunge era of the early 1990s. But every other song in a new generation, I could barely distinguish Gonna Be My Day, Looking Out For You, and Fit Right In from one another. They sound like generic, mediocre at best pop music that you hear on the radio these days. Danger Danger, however, is the exact opposite, but in a bad way. It's anything but subtle about how much of an idiot Sprout is, not to mention it's a Poor Pony's mob song from Beauty and the Beast. I go into more detail about the song in a journal on DeviantArt.
I love this contrast between this and the other songs. I think it makes Danger Danger pop more. Easily my favorite of the bunch. Actually, it's a bit of a tough call between this, Gonna Be My Day, and Looking Out For You. But Sophia Carson nails Pip's will to try and boost morale for the Pegasus ponies. The only downside is we don't hear the full song until the end credits.
Right, everything rip up. Oh. Ow!
Yep, you had that coming, Zack.
I swear if I had $1 for every time someone compared this to Disney, I'd be very rich by now.
I bet if they're of the Australian variety, they're far more valuable than the American dollar.
Hey, at least we still got more value than...
I think we've lost track of the debate.
Ah, right. Glowing up is the poor ponies try everything, and I will not bend on this.
Oh, yes.
Ow! What the hell?
Don't make me do this to you a third time, mate.
Yeah, Zack. Not unless you want to end up with several lumps on the old nog.
Oh, shut up. Is there any other song we can talk about?
Yep, there's this one.
I'm looking out for you. When you're off track, I got your back. You can rely on me. I'm looking out for you. Back at home.
It's a really cute duet with Sunny and Izzy as they find out they've both been isolated due to their own kind putting them dould
Would have preferred more character moments between them on their journey to Zephyr Heights rather than a song that tells us nothing about either of them that we don't already know.
Well, someone's been taking a walk in the rain today. Matt, thoughts?
Well, I've got... nothing.
Anyway, I think we need something to brighten up gloomy Gus over there.
Okay, who's been rubbing off on who?
I've heard it enough. I'm calling their bluff. I'll never get lost in the brain. There's something inside, burns bigger than pride, shines out of me, lighting the way.
Would have preferred if the lyrics were less preachy. Also, Vanessa Hudgens can't sing that well. But then again, she's never starred in a good musical production.
Oh, come on! She's really good if you ask me.
Frankly, I expect this film to at least try to make music that isn't lazy and insipid.
I know. How about this one?
Oh, a unicorn horn makes a unicorn stride. It's the more head on your forehead, it's the source of your pride.
Seriously, Hasbro? You're this desperate to be relevant with the kids. Have a little dignity, for fuck's sake. At least when Friendship is Magic did a rap song, it was done as a parody and wasn't meant to be taken seriously. This here, it's just... sad.
Hey, nothing wrong with a little rap.
It's not rap music I've got a problem with. I listen to a few myself. No, the problem I have with the rap verse and fit right in is that it's got this "how do you do, fellow kids" attitude. I mean, I get that it's a kids film, but come on. I think that's all the songs for the film, unless...
Yeah, you do this, buddy! I can take much more. I'm about to lose my mind.
Ah, right. This one's a thing, I think.
It's a song that Sunny and Alphabet danced to in a contest for the Unicorn Crystal. It took a while to grow on me, but when I did, I couldn't stop listening to it. Only real downside is it's not sung by any other characters in the film. But hey, I could say that about Circle of Life, He Lives in You, and As You Move On from the Lion King franchise.
Oh yeah, and there's one other song, but that was only played in the end credits, and that doesn't count because the film's already over by then.
I think I can comment on this one real quick. Together is a really nice song to end the movie on. It kind of makes me wish Pip tried a concert again at the end and sang this song. By the way, has anyone noticed Zip's the only one who didn't sing?
Didn't she do it as a backing vocalist, or does that not count?
I didn't see Liza Koshy credited in any of the songs, so no.
Ah, okay then. Next section.
I'm looking out.
Many people have said this since the film first came out on Netflix. The animation is wonderful to look at, and yeah, even I'll admit it looks pretty good for the most part. However, we must address the alicorn in the room.
You mean how the ponies' faces look similar to one another?
Well, yes, but that wasn't what I meant, although we will come back to that in a moment. If people think a movie should get a pass by its visual design, let me point out that a good visual design should never be a mask for lackluster writing. But for how pretty the world of Equestria looks, I can't help but feel that it looks very generic and at least half the dialogue happens indoors. We don't get much happening outdoors until the climax. We're just stuck in 3 locations throughout, save for a few fields and a canyon. Compare that to ancient Equestria, that's probably going to take some getting used to, where every location has a unique feel to it.
If you ask me, the G5 designs on the ponies look a bit more unique from the other ones compared to the G4. I mean, the faces on each of the G4 main 6 were completely identical apart from the eyes. Even some of the ponies' eyes looked the same except their eyelashes were different. Here, the new main 5 have some differences between each other right off the bat. Pip's feather boa wings and Hitch's blaze, for instance. As for Ancient Equestria, that was 9 whole seasons plus a movie's worth of development. Years and years can change places, so we'll be seeing a lot more of these in the series to come.
Well, that's as may be, but this realistic approach they've gone for doesn't really work for MLP. And yes, I'm aware I'm using that word in a franchise that's about mythical creatures. I mean, take the convention scene as an example. It's meant to be slapstick, but instead of laughing, I actually felt concerned for Sunny as she could have gotten hurt. Likewise, I didn't laugh when the pony attached to the balloons flew off. Seriously, how does no pony even point out how dangerous these devices were? Then again, Equestria has never really had a great track record with safety, so at least that's consistent. My point is, what works in 2D animation does not always translate when you add the third dimension. I don't care if G5 wants to be cartoonish and over the top or realistic and grounded. Trying to be both will just confuse people. Also, this is probably a personal complaint, but save for the differences between them that Rachel brought up, the designs of the new main 5 don't feel like designs that you would see on your main characters. Put them amongst a group of background ponies. I'm not so sure you'd be able to tell them apart even as a casual viewer. With the old main 6, however, you can recognize them almost immediately even if you were a newcomer. Even that Talking Train Show reboot understands this.
But you know, I just thought of something. This movie isn't the only thing to be guilty of having characters look somewhat similar, but are still different overall. In fact, I know of an anime series from the early 2000s that is also slightly guilty of this. And it's, for any possible fans out there, Mobile Suit Gundam Seed. Of course, its sequel series is even more guilty of—
Enough! Let's just proceed with the review.
Earth ponies of Maritime Bay, fear is not your friend. But the unicorns and Pegasi can be!
Here's a quick question for you all. Have you ever heard of a little something known as compassion fatigue? Because that is my biggest problem with the film's message that racism is bad. It is shoved down your throat constantly to the point that by the film's ending, you don't really care what happens to anyone so long as it's ingrained in your mind. Now, it's not a bad message to teach children, but for the love of Luna, this Celestia Forsaken film will not shut up about it. It's to the point that 3 of its songs have it injected in the lyrics. Rather than making me emphasize the message as the film progresses, I get more irritated and would rather bash my head in with a sledgehammer.
Don't you even try!
Oh, come on!
My window!
Oops, sorry about that. But anyway, this constant demand for showing empathy is practically draining to say the least. Remember what a certain late modern man once said about pushing messages into your stories?
The morals of these stories were never jammed down the kid's throat. They weren't blatant. They weren't in capital letters. They were gently massaged into the framework of the show.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Instead of going, okay, we get it, that's what we're supposed to understand, and then afterwards saying, what am I going to do with this knowledge? The way a message should be presented should leave the audience thinking, wow, that's actually a very good and thought-provoking argument. I should keep that in mind for future reference. A new generation ends up going for the former rather than the latter, and the message is as subtle as the window Matt just broke over there.
And he owes me a new one, too!
You better hope that Mike doesn't take it out of your ass.
Sure, whatever you say.
We don't need more attacking, you two!
Anyway, back to the topic at hand. In my view, considering how much racism is still present in the world today, not helped by being amplified by a certain man during those 4 long, hard years, I actually don't mind this film's message being shoved down one's throat.
I doubt that certain man's followers will actually take it seriously, even if it takes years, or possibly even decades to unlearn this mentality. Let's just face it, some people are just set in their own ways and don't like to change. Not a criticism, just pointing out a fact of life.
Maybe not, but I'm still positive that there are people who do, and will, take it seriously.
You know, what you just brought up, Matt, it does remind me. Does this message make the film way too reminiscent of real-life events? If I wanted to hear about racist attacks, I'd rather be on Twitter, a cesspool of a website that's right at home for toxic fandoms and people who constantly put fingers in their ears when presented with actual facts. But I'm getting a little sidetracked here. Anyway, the point is, I often think of animated shows and films as a form of escapism. For example, wouldn't it be cool to hang out with the DC superhero girls? Or what about being under the sea with SpongeBob and Co. in Bikini Bottom? Or in this case, having magical adventures and learning about friendship. We all need a break from real life every now and again. The Mitchells vs. the Machines seem to understand this as well, and that film made a bit of commentary regarding excessive use of social media.
Break from reality? Maybe. Well, unless you eventually want to end up like a certain infamous person on the internet whose grip on reality has gotten so bad over the years that she might have ended up at a hospital this year while awaiting trial.
Well, perhaps not, but what I mean is that breaks from reality about how awful the world is right now should be in smaller doses. Anyway, so what if, in a new generation, the characters were humans instead of ponies? You'd probably lose the magic element, but apart from that, nothing about the story would change. It would still be about teaching children that racism is bad. I want to be entertained, for fuck's sake, not constantly preach at for 90 minutes. Which leads me back to the film's ending, where Sprout gets away with nearly causing a war. For Luna's sake, Hasbro, when are you going to let this Celestia Forsaken trope die? Ever since 2013, they've allowed villains to get away with any problems they've caused with toxic friends, school bullies, leaders of the school system, war criminals, and psychopaths. It looks as if they're now applying this to hustlers, scarily accurate depictions of world leaders, Karen stereotypes, and fascist dictators.
Say that again about Twilight, Zack.
And Discord, too!
You know, if you stop and think about how Twilight and Discord were written in Season 9, suddenly it makes sense as to why Equestria has been segregated. Twilight was a terrible leader by letting Discord get away with his crimes.
Right? You asked for it!
Hey, don't leave me out of this!
Wait, hold up, wait, Ah!
Better take back what you said just then.
Or else what?
Or else we'll make sure you can't lift your arms for weeks!
Alright, I'm sorry I called Twilight a psychopathic Discord a war criminal. Now please don't kill me! Thanks, Celestia, for that. Anyway, as I was about to say, so what a new generation is saying, along with racism is bad, is friendship will solve every problem.
Life isn't some cartoon musical where you sing a little song and your insipid dreams magically come true. So let it go.
Granted, that may not have been what the writers were intending, but here's a reality check. A simple gesture of friendship will not fix every problem in the world. Actions speak far louder than every speech along the lines of, if everyone could just get along, ever could. And it takes time for conflicts to heal. It's like Hitch's bit of real talk to Sunny that not every pony will immediately welcome unicorns and Pegasi, except they had to completely undermine it at the very last minute of the film. If Sprout is going to reappear and Make Your Mark, that's both the name of the special coming out this May and the series this September. No, I don't know why they share the same name either. They better give him actual consequences for his actions in the new generation. Unless they actually do, this issue of how Hasbro actually handles a villain's defeat will not improve.
As much as I like Sprout, I have to agree with you on the villain redemption trope, Zack.
I agree. The trope has gotten pretty old. If they did it properly, then I may start to like it again.
Aha! I told you guys that... Wait, hold up. Back up a minute there. Of all the moments throughout this movie, this is the one you actually agree with me upon?
To make you better understand my answer, the word you're looking for from me is yes.
Pretty much my answer there too.
I'll be damned. But anyway, I also find it very ironic that the movie speaks out against black and white thinking, yet the conflict it presents is depicted as black and white. It makes the message feel very confused in tone, as if they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. If you're going to write about how racism is bad, don't present it in black and white. When a children's book series on talking trains can prevent the steam versus diesel rivalry of the 60s in a more gray area, you should know that there's a problem.
Note to self. Put a pin on the steam diesel discussion for later.
You did it, Sonny.
No, we did it. Together. Now we never have to be apart. Hooves to heart.
If I had to give out 2 suggestions for writers, it's these. The first one's more in general, but don't base your story around the message you're trying to convey. Let the story and characters within it shape your message. And the second goes to Hasbro and pretty much every major corporation. Don't rely on nostalgia thinking that viewers will immediately eat it up, and especially don't use messages like racism is bad just for views and to take people's money. Those were the two biggest problems that killed New Generation for me. Well, that and trying too hard to be Disney. I mean, don't get me wrong, I get what it's trying to accomplish, and I admire the effort, but it doesn't give me any reason to recommend the film to anybody, child or otherwise. It feels like it can't decide if it wants to be a standalone or a sequel. It kind of tries to be both, and it ends up being neither at the same time. The quest basically goes from a place of division before becoming a place of harmony, and then, over several generations after Twilight Sparkle's time, becomes a place of division again before returning to the place of harmony that the main six hoped would remain long after they had passed on. Have we seen something like this before?
No matter what our differences, we're all ponies.
What was that?
I didn't know unicorns could do that.
I didn't either. Nothing like this has ever happened before. But I know it couldn't have been just me. It came from all three of us, joined together, in friendship.
Oh yeah. So basically, nothing changed at all. Oh, and did I mention that we've already seen similar plot elements in the Friendship is Magic 2-parter and Magical Mystery Cure? I'd rather watch those episodes back to back, and collectively, give or take a few minutes, they're the same length as this movie. Actually, that does remind me. Why is this a 90-minute movie and not a 10-part miniseries? At least that would have given the story and characters a chance to actually breathe.
I did find the movie very enjoyable from start to finish, even there were a few issues I had with it. But a 10-part miniseries? That does look like an interesting idea. I could see the first episode giving us a backstory as to how the pony races became divided, with the second expanding upon the new main five and Sprout as foals, similar to what we saw for Hitch, Sunny, and Sprout, with additional scenes for Izzy, Pip, and Zip. Episode 3 would involve Sunny trying to spread love about all three species, but that doesn't succeed when Hitch throws her out. For the fourth episode, Sunny meets Izzy and starts to connect with her, and the pair then travel off to Zephyr Heights and meet Pip and Zip in the fifth episode. With episode 6, Zip starts bonding with Sunny and Izzy as they learn about the crystals, although there's some debate on the existence of the Earth Penny Crystal, as Sunny doesn't believe they had any magic in ancient Equestria. By that point, Sunny's goal has become twofold, restoring both magic and friendship to the pony races. The 7th episode involves Pip's performance ending with disaster and the ponies escape to Zephyr Heights. By that point, Pip and Hitch begin to connect with the others, although Pip comes last, upset that her performance and fame had been destroyed, thinking the others did it on purpose. Zip's involvement would probably sting the most. Come episode 8, and the new main five managed to bind both the unicorn and earth pony crystals, despite Sunny's skepticism, and they all fit together, but the magic doesn't come back as initially believed. This doesn't deter Sunny as she gets back to her original goal of uniting the species, further solidified by the fact she has 3 new friends, 1 unicorn and 2 Pegasi. While all this is happening, we have a subplot running through these episodes with Sprout gearing up the rest of the ponies of Maritime Bay to attack, and episode 9 is about the battle that ends with the destruction of Sunny's home and Sprout's arrest. The 10th and final episode is about the aftermath, with the ponies repairing all the damage done to Maritime Bay, with the unicorns and Pegasi helping out, though Izzy, Pip, and Zip's convincing, and piece by piece, the magic gradually returns to the ponies, the crystal's magic seeping out as the ponies become more united. The crystals do their thing and Sunny becomes an alicorn, thus ending with the heart-to-heart shake she always did with her late father.
A 10-part miniseries does sound like a good idea. However, I still like the film the way it is, and there isn't anything you can say or do to change my mind, Zach.
Give it a few years, and I'm pretty sure that its positive reputation will not hold up by the end of Generation 5's run, whenever that is. If I wanted this story done right, I'd much rather watch Zootopia. Sure, it's 15 minutes longer, but the characters, story, and message are all a lot stronger, and it came out 6 years ago.
Just don't forget that there are people out there who like the film, Zach, which includes Rach, Cam, and myself.
Alright, I get it! Anyway, what does the future hold for Generation 5? As I've already said, we're getting a 44-minute special called Make Your Mark coming out on May 26th, and then the series of the same name on September 26th. 1 year and 2 days after the film came out. Maybe it'll actually turn out to be good and become a surprise hit, but probably nowhere near as big as Friendship is Magic was. But if Make Your Mark doesn't live up to its own hype, Well, at least I got the first 4 seasons of Friendship is Magic to go back to on Netflix.
I've grown up with the previous generations of MLP, each one with a new set of characters and changed lore. Even if plot elements are reused here and there, each one is new and exciting to me as the previous generation, and this is no exception. Personally, I'm really excited to see where the show goes from this movie and see how these new characters grow and change. And the fact it's connected to G4, I'm intrigued to see how the history has changed over time and faded into the background of G5. We've never seen anything like this before.
I finally made it.
Cam, you're back. How's your head?
It's much better now. Thanks for asking, Rach. Mike had lent me a cold ice pack from his med kit which healed my splitting headache in no time. Now this bump in my head is gone, I can finally give my thoughts of the... Wait, this review is over already?
Sadly, it is. And there's the guy responsible for ending it.
What? Thanks a bunch, Matt.
I can't believe you made me miss out on this review! And I have some notes about the film to share too! My thoughts on Zipstorm, Zephyr Heights, and how smooth the character animation is! And you made me miss it all! And I just had a splitting headache because of you, you jackass! Trying to be helpful, yeah right! You're gonna pay for treating me like a punching bag! Kiss your sorry face goodbye, loser!
Shit!
Get back here, Zack! Don't you run away from me! I'm not through with you yet!
Karen, wait, stop. We can talk about this, please.
I'm done talking with my mouth. Now I talk with
Matt,
my
I think we better wrap things up here.
Right you are. Anyway, I'm Matt St. Ange.
I'm Rachel Ravens, and the guy being chased over there is Zack Wanzer.
And he's likely getting his just desserts. Now, I wonder what we have planned for the next episode.
Next time on the Emotions Corner.
Time to take out the adorable trash.